stick around, come through and dig the sound of the fly brown 6060 cycle. Who throws hits around, bound to go to the back. Welcome to another exciting episode of Wine Down with Kev. We got quite a guest today. But before I begin, let me begin with an attitude of gratitude. Thank you to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day to watch us on live stream, on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Thank you. You are appreciated. Even bigger thanks to all of you that have subscribed already and hit that notification button. And if you haven't done it yet, hit it now because you're definitely going to want to hit it at the end of this podcast. Also, big thanks to my sponsors who you'll see flashing on the screen behind me. Carol Media, talk to them for all things social media. Canopy Connect, if you're looking to digitize your business, get more data, write better business, talk to Canopy Connect. And Wintrust, you can't make any financial moves without a financial banking partner. That being said, super excited today. Today, I am bringing you an awesome person. We are going into Fort Wayne, Indiana for a 50 podcast with 50 agents from 50 different states. But today, for the first time, we are going to talk to a former insurance agency owner, but still committed to helping many agents in many ways. He's one of the best, most well-known coaches in the country. He is the former owner of the Harkelroad agency. He's the former founder of the Follow-Up Tool. He is the former founder of Triumph Studios. And today he is the founder and CEO of the Standard Playbook. Ladies and gentlemen, put your Wine Down with Kev hands together and give a warm welcome to my friend, my fellow coach, my fellow serial entrepreneur, Justin Harkelroad.
That was nice, man. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you having me on here too. It's cool.
Beautiful. Special. I did the best introduction I could. I left out some important parts. I didn't talk about your family. So please shout out the missus, your family, and tell the people a little bit of something about you that I left out.
Yes, man. Yeah. So, Karina's my wife. We've been married. It'll be 15 years in September. We got 3 kids, 2 boys, twin identical boys that'll turn 14 in August, and a beautiful monster of a daughter named Lily who turns 11 very soon. So they are my everything and the reason for the season, as you know. And I'm a massive, the one random fact, massive Michigan football fan. So we're going to throw that out there to make sure everybody can run their mouths.
I love it. You're living in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but you're rooting for Michigan. What part of the game is that?
Yeah, so I was actually not born, but I'm from Ohio. So okay. My entire family is Buckeyes. So something happened to me as a child, hit my head too hard and chose the dark side. And it was torture for what, 15, 20 years. And now the last 5 years have been fun. So
yeah. Michigan's one of those programs. They're right up there with Ohio State University. They're competing. They're in the game in every sport. They're right there at the end in everything that we do. So, Justin, I usually start these podcasts in different ways, sometimes fun, but what's glaring to me, I think it's important that we kick off. You have I am behind me. But so why don't you expand on that for our guests? And let's just jump right into faith first, and then we'll take this train where it's going to go.
Yeah. So I, as you kind of mentioned, have done many businesses, and I, went through Triumph in 2020 and launching a fitness studio in the middle of COVID was a challenge in itself. And it took its toll on myself and my family. And we found ourselves in a really dark place in 2023. And I started doing this process called prayer stacking. And I grew up in the Lutheran church. I grew up around faith. I, went to chapel every Monday, Wednesday, went to church on Sunday and did my thing. And said I believed in God and made that statement out loud. And when I started prayer stacking, which is essentially just an order of operations of questions to pray, because a lot of men out there, we don't know how to pray. We just kind of do our thing and we think we're doing it correctly. I was introduced prayer stacking through a thing called Warrior, which we'll probably get into. And yes. I started praying. I started praying and prayer stacking July 23rd of 2023. And there's this question in there that says, I want God to know. And it says it 4 times. And the 4th one, I kept writing, I am here and I am willing. Because essentially I was reaching out to God saying, dude, I'm willing to do anything right now. Like, just get me out of this mess that I put myself in. And when I didn't miss a day, still haven't missed a day since that day. And it started to become this conversation piece for me, to the point where I realized my comment of I am here and I am willing was my submission. And since that moment, things have I had to go in the pit a little bit deeper a couple months after that. But after we got through that, the trajectory is different now. And that statement is on my wall. It's tattooed on my legs now. It's still in my prayer stack every single day, the fourth thing I put. And in reality, to me, and what it represents for me is that submission point. And even in February, I was in Miami, and I made this post from an event that I was down there for Warrior, saying I was a liar. I didn't truly believe, like I said I did, in God. And I even called my mom and said, "You're probably going to be pissed at me right now." But I kind of lied this whole time. And she said, "Justin, I'm not mad at you. I'm just thankful that you figured it out." And that was, someone made a comment in one of our breakout sessions down there that said, "I've only been a believer for 3 years." And I thought but I've been in church for my entire life. And that was like a clicking point to realize that was the moment that I started. And that was the moment once I started to hear his voice. And people will think that's weird or whatever. My purpose and my intention through Standard, and we'll get into this, is to give people permission to understand that they don't have to go to church. They don't have to conform to anything. God just wants a conversation with them. And my goal and my purpose is just to present that. And then once that happens, I'm done. Like, I've done my purpose and I've done my job. And it's not my job to convince you of anything. It's not my job to convince you that I'm correct and you're wrong, which triggers a lot of people. And it's just my job to say, this is your shot. Talk to him. And once you guys are talking, I'm going to bow out and let him handle the rest.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And if I could put it in a couple of words, it sounds like it's all about building your personal relationship with God, whatever that is, to get on your path, get on your road, and do whatever you're here to do. We all have a different purpose. I think when we find purpose, it makes every day, I was going to use the word easy. I don't think that's correct, though. A little bit more livable, right? Because you're living with intention and on purpose. So just, I want to dial the clock back to 2023. You may or may not remember this, but you and I were together, CWC, February 2023. We were in between breakouts or sessions, and I believe you were the first one that started a sidebar conversation about ChatGPT. I think you kind of put it out there. You kind of said, who's into it? And you encouraged everybody to download it. But in that moment, whatever effort I put towards it, I got distracted and I didn't do it until July of 2023, your breakout moment. My middle son suggested to me later. I didn't give him my undivided. My youngest son did. I gave him my undivided attention. And it's been a game changer for me and everybody that I'm talking to. So fast forward from you throwing it out as a conversation to the Standard playbook, where I just saw online where you posted the ChatGPT masterclass. How have you grown in AI these last 2 years? And how has it helped you advance and accelerate the agents that you're working with and you're helping?
Yeah. I can't stress enough, and every boardroom call, every group Zoom I do, it is I'm not going to say purpose because that's already been used. But I'm crazy about making sure people understand that they have to be learning this now, because it's going to go so fast, and it's gone so fast. Even when you and I talked about in February, it's not the same thing at all. No. And the people who are concerned about, losing their job or losing their position or whatever, AI is not replacing people, in my opinion, but it's replacing people who aren't adhering to it and learning it. And because the people who are going to take their jobs are the people who understand it. Yes. And it's in my everyday, every hour life at this point. Like even the Standard playbook itself, Standard call scoring came out because there's an AI portion to Standard now to help people, grade and listen to calls and all these things. And I fumbled into that simply because of how much I played with automations and AI currently. But I mean, dude, the playbook call scoring came out in January. From January until now, it's a whole different game. And even with inside of call scoring, inside of the structure that we built for that company, new things are being built on the backside of that I would never even had access to in January because of how fast this is evolving. And I know, and like Karina has to remind me of this, like my little X bubble that I'm on with AI, like my entire algorithm of TikTok and X is all AI. So
Nice.
I'm engulfed in it. But if you look in the world, 99.9% of people have no idea what ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
So it's just a wild little bubble I live in that I think is reality. And then I go out and talk to other people and they're like, ChatGPT, what? And that's just the base foundation of the millions of apps that exist now. And AI agents, like I'm on, there's a thing called NAN that eventually you're going to start to hear about, but like building and connecting these apps together now is a life hack. It truly is now.
All right, so slow down. Say that again. There's this connectivity app. I missed it. Go ahead.
So it's N as in Nancy, the number 8, and N as in Nancy.
Okay.
N8N. So
okay.
NAN, look up something called MCP. Like these modules have a central brain, and then you're connecting all the things you use on a day-to-day basis, and it has the freedom to be you. Now you can obviously limit it, and I limit my emails. Like I don't let it send emails for me because I'm a little scared of what it will say. But eventually, I'll have full trust in it, I'm sure. And not only that, but it's learning upon itself. It's learning upon who you are. And even Sam Altman today came out and said that they opened up the memory of ChatGPT, so now it can access all of your past conversations when you're referencing something new. So your own chat modules are now becoming familiar with who you are. And now it knows how to respond to you. It knows what your common answers you're looking for are. Instead of you trying to search something, it's a assistant in a way. Yeah. And like for me, I use ChatGPT Pro. So I pay the $200 and people are like, that's too much. The responses are night and day for one, but the voice module thing on that is my assistant during the day. So I can talk to my phone, and my phone will talk back to me like it's a human, and we can discuss marketing and sales and all those things. And it's incredible.
Just, I love what you're saying, man. I've been telling people to get this, that ChatGPT has to become your best friend. We all have friends. We have a crew we grew up with. We talk basketball, we talk football, we talk family, we talk faith. But when it comes to these difficult questions that we face in business, especially a, repeat entrepreneur like yourself, as you're building new things, there's always going to be questions that you stack upon it. Well, the marketing question, the staff, and the automation question that you need to bounce it off of somebody to get it right. And there's no better place to go than to really ask those complicated prompts and get simple answers that you can act on. Hey, DJ, what's up? I'm in the middle of recording the podcast.
I know, man.
No. Yeah. So, this guy, we want to talk about something different. He's trying to get his website and his Google My Business page going.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody knows you helped me to get to the 2 Comma Club, but and be seen by a couple of million people. But this person wants to do something different. They're trying to run ads to their book of business, their model line campaigns and stuff like that.
I know, Kev.
Oh, man. Well, DJ, talk to the people, man, so I can get back to the podcast. How can you help?
Yeah, man. So listen, I can help you by running monoline ads to your auto, your home, as well as optimizing your website, your Google business profile, and your social media outlets. We can do the exact same thing we've done for Kevin over the years and get you in front of millions of sets of eyeballs to help you grow your business. Contact Carroll Media today. Kev, let them know.
DJ, I appreciate you jumping in the podcast. Hit up Carroll Media. DJ, I gotta go. I gotta get back to the podcast.
I know.
Correct. And to your point, like I'm getting ready, I haven't said this out loud, but get ready to launch another company in August. And when I talk to my partner, we're building our team as agents first. So we'll have this head of the CEO agent, if you will, all the things that we need underneath it. But then underneath that is going to be a marketing agent CEO and a service agent CEO and a customer response CEO, which has all those apps connected to it. Because the scalability, obviously, as we know, like everything is revenue based and we can only afford how much we can go. If we can not necessarily eliminate humans, but just make ourselves more efficient, the sky's the limit. And the scalability is the limit, which is incredible.
No, I love it, Justin. I'm right there with you. And I co-sign the comment. I don't talk to people about eliminating humans. I talk to people about helping the staff that they have gain productivity. If you have someone that's writing a good amount of business, let's define that as 50 items a month, just for conversation's sake. I would rather pour tools into them to help them double their production versus getting a brand new person to take them from 0 to 50. What are your thoughts on it? Does that make sense, giving them more support to make them more efficient? Or do you chase the new person that you have to go through 4 before you get a really good one that sticks?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. And it's obviously more feasible from a fiscal percentage for you to scale. Obviously there's ins and outs to this conversation about VC and all of these things, but the AI tool, and a lot of people are scared, in my opinion, of the AI tools because it seems complicated. I think everyone would be ridiculously surprised at how easy most of these things are.
They are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then not even the tools that are built. I built a chatbot yesterday with a sentence, and it just did it all by itself. Now, deploying it and having a super-based background, all those things for organization is a whole different conversation. But just the ease of use is astronomically different than when we first talked about it.
I love it. So, Justin, I know that you're crushing it now. I don't know your backstory. How did you get into insurance, and how did you go from 0 to 100?
Yeah, so I was 20 years old when I walked into my mom's mortgage company. There was I don't know what you would call it now, a satellite agent in that, just himself in his desk. And you've been around long enough to remember there was this thing called the star bonus.
Yes.
It was an $18,000 bonus. And he talked to me about it. And I was 20 years old and I was broke and I was working at Lincoln Financial and delivering pizzas. And he said, you can have $18,000 in 60 days. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And that was kind of it. So then my dad had a pizza shop in the hood of Fort Wayne. And he said, Justin,
Nice.
I have a little place next door that you could just clean up and have an office there for cheaper rent. So I said, okay. And the next week I signed the contract with Allstate. I didn't have any money in the bank. As you know, they require money.
Yes.
And back then the requirement was $5,000 in capital. So didn't have that. Called my grandma and said, hey, can you put $5,000 in my account and I'll put it back to you the next day?
Yes.
So that was my proof of funds. And then I literally drove to Farmington Hills because we did this like lead up where you had 2 weeks of training in Farmington and then 2 weeks in Chicago. And I want to say 2 weeks again in Farmington. 2.5 hours to Farmington and then 4 hours to Chicago. I drove back and forth every single day for 3 weeks because
no money for the hotel. We're not wasting money on that.
So the last 3 days in Farmington, I stayed on 8 Mile because it was a red roof for like $29 a night. So like that was my way to make it work. I got 2 speeding tickets, so I'm not sure if I ended up saving money or not. But it was the story behind it, and it was what was required to make it happen. And obviously we started scratch. It was myself and one other employee, this OG 65-year-old dude named Freddie, that just really guided me through the first year to figure it out.
Justin, the obvious question, you're in Farmington, Michigan, you're staying on 8 Mile Road. As you're driving back and forth, are you jamming the Eminem or not? What's in the tape deck?
All day. Yeah, all day. The only explicit lyrics my sons are allowed to listen to is Eminem, just so we're clear. So every other album, like, no, that's bad. You listen to Eminem and you think about what he says. It doesn't matter.
Mom spaghetti. That's Fast forward to today. You know this. You've probably been there. He's cleaned it up. He's got a Mom Spaghetti restaurant, and I don't know him personally. I'm slightly connected to the hip hop business, but I've heard that if he was going to work with you, music's very much a nighttime business, but Eminem works a hard 9 to 5. So if you show up at 4:45, he's going to dap you up and say, bro, I'll see you tomorrow. So, what do you mean we getting started? No. 9 to 5. Cause I got other stuff to do. I'm not, messing around here and hanging out and doing any other things that he used to do.
Yeah.
You started scratch 2003. Great backstory. Grandma's 5K, flipped alone, back and forth, 8 Mile Road, Mom Spaghetti, and you grow it to what? In what period of time?
It went up to about 12 million I sold in 2019.
Nice.
So I bought this guy that he's probably like 1.3 or 1.6 million. And he was down on my side of the hood with me. And like, I had to get that agency out of that location. So we opened a satellite, 15 minutes across the city, which is a long way here. And then ended up having 3 locations, actually 4 eventually, and then merged them all into one bigger location. And then a second location about an hour away, about an agency, closer to the end. So I still owed money on that when I sold. But yeah, we got to the, quote unquote mega stats and all those things. And then obviously in the middle of all that, Vault Tool existed. So I started to, when Fall Tool existed and we built it, most stressful time before Triumph. But I realized that there's other things out there, and I really enjoyed the software game. I really enjoyed the exit more than anything. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Triumph came up in our brains, and that's when I realized for me to cash flow this massive monster, I had to consider selling the agency. And God blessed me by selling me at the top of the multiple market when things were great. So I, obviously agreed to a deal in 19, and then I exited officially December 31st of 19. And then 2020 happened when I was going to do Allstate, but also COVID happened to everybody. So
right.
the world hit the fan in March of that year. So it was good timing for myself.
I love it. Talk about Triumph and your wife being a bodybuilder. And I know your commitment to physical fitness. What was that experience like? And let's talk about the Harkelroad family lifestyle, just a commitment to physical fitness. I think that's something that everybody says they're going to do. Very few people commit and really dedicate the discipline that's required to get to the basic level, not to mention the highest level. Hey, Ray, it's Kevin. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. You guys have been helping me out for a while with all the digital things you can do at Use Canopy, but some of my guys, they're still having a hard time adjusting to the digital age. Talk to the people, Ray, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Canopy Connect is the insurance data intake platform. Send a link out to your prospect. They, click on it, find their insurance carrier. We got like 350 insurance carriers on there. Click that, sign in, and they can be done there. You can ask them a few more questions you want, but we're going to pull all that insurance information, give it to you right in a nice dashboard.
That sounds pretty quick. What are we talking? 2 or 3 minutes?
Less. You can do that in 30 seconds, man.
Wow. Nick, you're a big time marketing guy. What do you think?
I think Canopy Connect is one of those tools that everybody should have in their back pocket. Makes it easy to use. You can send it out in emails and text messages. You can use it in social media campaigns, X-Date campaigns. All of those methods will work with Canopy Connect.
Guys, I got to get back to the podcast, but you heard it right here. Use Canopy Connect. Go digital. Leave old school in the past. Nick and Ray, I'll catch you guys later. Easy.
Let's go. See ya.
But where does physical fitness fit within the Harkelroad household?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a non-negotiable on a daily basis, and yeah, Karina is the one who drives this thing for us. She is a bodybuilder. She does fitness. She's a fitness pro with the IFBB. She actually just got accepted to the Olympia, which is the highest level in the world in Japan of this year, 2 days ago. So her
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I got goosebumps saying it. It was an amazing thing to see her up to get. I mean, it's such a big deal. But for us, she started getting into fitness. She actually went to a Warrior Women event and wrote down that she was going to be a fitness instructor in 2018. But forever, she has like tons of state titles in gymnastics, and she's always been a super athlete. But when she had the boys, she obviously went through pregnancy and lost control of her body for that time period. And she then became someone who wanted to help moms get fit again.
Nice.
So she started at the Y, teaching classes there. As we would travel with Allstate, we would go to all these studios around the world, and the experiences were incredible. I went to a boxing class in LA in 2018 called Rumble, which is in New York.
Nice.
I called them the next day and said, hey, I want to buy this and I want to put this in Fort Wayne, but they weren't franchising at that point. But that's kind of when the conversation started about Triumph, and Triumph was just going to be a boxing gym. And then she was like, well, if we're going to do a gym, let's do Cycle. So then Cycle became a thing. We almost didn't do it. I was in California for an event. We had decided we weren't doing it. I was in the back of this truck. I remember her calling me going, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. Me obviously praying about it. And we decided to go ahead and do it. And if I look back on it now, it was me wanting to feel like I was doing this business because Karina wanted it. And
right.
What I wasn't hearing her say was she was happy.
Right.
And she was content. And my business drive pushed us into this scenario where I'm like, hey, let's open this business together. And running a business with your spouse is a challenge that you aren't ready for until you realize it. And
yes.
You're probably still not ready for it at that point. So once we got into it, it just caused chaos for us.
Yeah.
But we've always been, to your question, getting a workout in every day is part of our lifestyle. So whether we go on vacation, whether we're here, we're working together to manage the kids. Now it's easier because they're older, but manage the kids to make sure we get to the gym, because that's really our solace time to re-energize ourselves and fill our own bucket.
No, that's important, to be the best version of yourself. 2 parents that are bodybuilders, 2 identical twins at age 14, an 11-year-old. What sports are the kids into?
One's into football massively. One hates sports dramatically. So completely different people. He loves skateboarding, which scares me to death.
Nice.
So we take him and he goes to a skate park and jumps off these ledges and makes me want to close my eyes. And then one is obsessed with football.
I love it, man. And your daughter, which way is she leaning? Athletic, no interest.
Dance.
Which way did she go?
Dance. So we live at dance. My wife does, not me. God bless her. She lives at dance competitions half the year.
I love it. Dance moms. I watched that whole series. It's a lifestyle. Justin, let's jump into present. Talk to me about the standard playbook. And doing these podcasts, agents around the country. Each time I'm talking, I'm asking a series of questions, none of which I'm asking you now. Everybody's talking about you. They're talking about the standard playbook. They're talking about the Warriors. So put me up on game. Tell me the impetus for the standard playbook, and tell me a little bit about the Warrior program that I'm hearing so much about.
Yeah. So standard is a mix of all my life. So if I look at insurance, I look at the software side of it, I look at Triumph, and then I look at Warrior and my faith. It's all rolled up into one. So the idea kind of started to exist after I sold Triumph. I was obviously coaching, but Warrior itself, let's just start there. Warrior itself, I joined in 2016. The lifestyle of Warrior, to get into it, you have to own a business, be a man, be married, and have children. So essentially it's a desired brotherhood to be around people who understand the stresses of life that you have. Because as you know, everyone who owns a business has a certain stress, and people that don't own a business may act like they know, but they don't, because it's no one can know until you actually take it.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Well said.
Yeah. It's like the same thing when people say, "Oh, I have twins, they're a year apart." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about."
No.
It's a whole different game. So Warrior focuses on body, being, balance, and business. Body, your health and fitness. Being, your connection to God. Balance, your connection to your wife and kids, or husband and kids. And then business, obviously the focus on being an entrepreneur. Inside of Warrior, you focus on those things every single day. So it's something we call Core 4. And then we focus on monthly missions and impossible gains for the year. So there's a lot of coaches out there who do Warrior type of stuff, and they have a Warrior connection. I have the Warrior connection, but my niche, my world is insurance, and it's always been that way. So when Standard Playbook came up in my head, I'm like, I can write this physical book that I can mail out, which helps people hone in on those targets of their entire lives. And like the way I structure the coaching calls, we talk about everything. So male or female, we're going to talk about body, being, balance, business. And at the end of our 2-hour session, you're going to have a certain target to go after the next month. And then when you come back and we visit again the next month, you get to check the box, yes or no, if you did it, yes or no, pass or fail. So it's a way of structuring and measuring targets. And it obviously, it's different when you have someone to hold you accountable. So for people like you and I, when we're at the top of our game and we're business owners, there's no one really to kick us.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Everyone needs some sort of coach in some sort of area. My wife is a professional IFBB bodybuilder. She has a coach.
Yes.
And like, sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, why are you paying these people? You're the top dog. But then I understand we all need to be driven and pushed. And that's what Warriors for me. I pay Garrett a ridiculous amount of money just to be the guy who checks me when I start to question things that I'm doing. Right. And I had an amazing hot seat with him 2 weeks ago inside of our group of men. And there's about 40 or 50 of us in this group called Savage. And I didn't know what was going on internally with me. I was hitting every single target that I put out there, everything in body, everything in being, balance, and business. But I felt like I was on this edge of depression. And I didn't know what was going on. And I was testing out new medication, and that's a whole other conversation. But like I didn't know what was going on. And I wasn't suicidal, but I sure felt off. And I got on the hot seat with him, and he said, Justin, you're in this world called what I call a chaos of abundance. Everything is going incredible. we're built and we love to build in chaos. Like
Yes.
we love the drive to the tippy top of the peak. But when we get there as men, I'm only speaking for us, we don't know what to do when we get there.
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit, now what? What are we supposed to do now? Other than, and most choices are what? To burn something down so then we can rebuild it. And he nailed it with me, dude. When he said, he goes, I bet you're thinking that maybe standard's not even for you. It was in my brain. I thought, is this not what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, is this not the purpose now? Because it was going wonderfully, but internally, I didn't know what the next set of targets were. And that was the call out for me. I had set this level of thing I was striving for, but I hadn't set the next one yet for myself.
Yeah.
And I was here. I didn't know what to do now that I was here. And when he just clearly, and this is the reason I say everybody needs a coach, when he just clearly said, this is where you got to focus now, it opened up my brain and I feel 100 times lighter because I know where I'm going now. And again, what do I got to do? Make sure when I get there, I'm aware of, I'm here now. This is now my new pit. And now I got to find this new peak and then go after that.
I love it, man. I mean, you wrapped all of that up: body, being, balance, and business. And it's a moving target. Justin, I like to say there's no place called there. When we're younger, people listen to this podcast, they have this concept in mind, right? When I get to make 50K, I'll be fine. When I get 100K, I'll be fine. When I get to a mega agency, I'll be fine. But there's no place called there. Each level is a different devil, and you got to confront that devil where you're at. And I love the fact that you have a coach who called you on what you were going through, because we can't see ourselves from the outside. Michael Jordan said, I've never achieved anything great without a coach. You've probably read both of Tim Grover's books and what his relationship was to Jordan and Kobe and to others. So it's wonderful. Justin, if I think of you, there's one word that I've heard you say a million times. I'm going to ask you what it means to you. That word is accountability. What does that mean to you?
Truth. So truth is the one word. Okay. And truth is a missing thing in a lot of people's lives. And like being accountable to yourself is living in your truth. And when I talk about this up here, like it is, and I talk about people being triggered, and like I'm gonna smile because the person that I'm discussing is gonna hear this. And people will call and tell me what they think about my posts or what I'm saying about God because they have their viewpoint about it. And I will just say, okay. And like I think he even said one time, are you holding your tongue? And I said, no, I'm not. What do you mean? He said, well, you're not like trying to argue with me. I said, I don't have the time, energy, or capacity to argue with you about your beliefs. Your truth is your truth. I want you to enjoy your truth.
Yes.
And that goes for not just faith, but for everything. I am not here to tell anyone how they need to live. Ever. Right. And their faith and their interpretation of faith is theirs. And that's an amazing gift that they have. And I think if we all had that, I'm not saying we have to do this, but if we all had that stance on it, all of this bickering back and forth would slow down dramatically because we just let people exist how they want to exist instead of trying to impose all of our thoughts, feelings, and actions onto someone else. And as you ask the roundabout question, how do I hold myself accountable as I live in my truth? Because then I don't have anything to hide. And Garrett said that, and I always remember, the most dangerous man in the room is the person who has nothing to hide.
Yeah. You've got nothing to dance around. So I just got to tell you that I love that definition of accountability, simply saying that accountability is truth, not my truth, your truth. You and I can go to a ball game. We can go to a boxing match. We can go to a business conference, and we don't have to talk for 2 days while we're there. We can fly back together, and our conversation about the experience will be completely different. No one's lying. You saw something different. You gravitated towards something different than I did, and I just love it. So, Justin, I think we've been around the block. I think we've touched body, being, balance, and business. After all that you do, with all the peak performance that you're chasing and hitting, how do you wind down at the end of the day?
I don't, man. I need to do better. That's what I go level 100 way too much. But what I have done a good job of now is shutting it down from a communication perspective with the business side of the world when I get home. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. And I wish I had this little block, but maybe you see me on videos. But like I have an app called Brick that I can tap my phone on, and it locks out the social channels. It locks out email. And I have to go unbrick my phone to get it back in, because I think presence is probably the biggest thing we all struggle with as business owners.
Yes.
And going home and having the story of thing we have to deal with when we get back tomorrow, or maybe we have the story in our head that we need to deal with it tonight. Just avoiding that is the best way to turn this thing off. And the same thing can be said on the weekend. Like the weekend, even though there's no weekend for us, there is from a communication perspective. And trying to frame that differently for me has worked wonderfully. The weekend is for family or football on Saturdays in the fall. But
Faith,
the week,
family, and football.
Family and football. Like my wife knows I got 12 Saturdays a year. Don't bother me. And that's an agreement, and that's made our marriage much better.
I love it.
But staying present is the way to their hearts.
I love it. And these events, these dance recitals, these games, the skateboarding trips, they're never repeated. Justin, you have been incredible, as I knew you would. Anything else that you want to share that I didn't ask about? You want to plug the standard playbook? Anything else you want to shout out? The mic is yours before we land the plane.
I will simply say what I said my purpose was. God wants to talk to each and every single one of you, and that's all he wants. So if you take anything away from this, close your eyes, talk to God, and you don't need to hear an audible voice back. You don't need to feel a feeling. Just continue that repetition, and then eventually you'll start to get answers from it. And that's by far the one thing I want to make sure that we leave it with. I don't need to promote nothing. You can find me if you want to find me.
He's everywhere. Justin Harkelroad, the Standard Playbook. Thank you to everybody for tuning into this podcast today. Whether you've seen us on live stream, Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, or you're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform at a later date, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to those that have subscribed already. If you haven't yet, if you want to know when awesome content like this gets released, hit the subscribe and notification button today, now, so you can get notified when it comes out. Thank you to my sponsors, Canopy Connect. You see on the screen behind me, Carol Media will come up shortly. All things to elevate your digital game, your data game. Talk to Canopy Connect. If you want to be viewed, make 2 million impressions like I have the last couple of years, talk to Carol Media. If you're looking for a financial partner, talk to Wintrust. And ladies and gentlemen, please, in the comments, throw in your clap hand emojis, your fire emojis, your 100 emojis for the awesome guest that we had today, Justin Harkelroad.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.